Hey friends, welcome to the all signs video for the full moon, not just any full moon, the super full moon in Gemini at 13 degrees 3 minutes. It's happening on December 4th at 3:13 p.m. Pacific time. This is a beautiful, bold full moon that is allowing us to complete, to clear out, and indeed giving us a fated transformation in an area of our chart. And that's what we're going to explore through creating release statements and opening statements for what wants to go according to where these are in your chart. So, what are we talking about? Who's there? We're talking about the sun and the moon, and we're also talking about the nodes of fate, the north node and the south node. So if you didn't catch my prior video about the full moon in Gemini, you'll want to listen to that. That sets the context for this mutable grand cross. Now think about mutable energy. Mutable energy is highly adaptable. It's highly creative. It's innovative because it can move on a dime. Now the shadow side of it is chaotic and scattered, and we're not going for that. We're going for adaptable, changeable. It's really an evolutionary moment. And I said on my prior video that this time isn't about receiving in concrete form the new direction. You might have hints of it, you might have pieces of it, but really we're in the chrysalis until that destined 0-degree point, world axis point in February of Saturn and Neptune in Aries, kicking off a whole new world. And we're going to see ripple effect after ripple effect after ripple effect of that new world. But right now, until that point, we've been given an auspicious opportunity to clear it out. You know, we are patterned. We've been patterned from the culture that we created, from our parents, from society, from the media. And at the first time in our lives, we're actually asking the question, is that what I want? Is that what I believe? Is that something that can go forward? And most of the time, we're saying no. We've identified areas in our own selves, patterns, belief systems, ways of being, wounds that are just a no. We don't want to live like that. We don't want to come from that place anymore. And indeed, 2025 was the wrecking ball of those old patterns to help you see them, to make life just not work. So when life doesn't work, we say, what the hell? Let's try something new. What the hell? I'm going to move because I always wanted to. That really got started in 2020. And so we're at this completion of a 5-year cycle that will take us into 2026 in a highly evolutionary year. And in 2027, when our physical bodies have this solar plexus mutation, which means that we go from being driven by our emotions to an awareness center, a hyper awareness center, a sensitivity that we see that the other is me, and we retain our individuality, the genius that only we can. Ha! That's so awesome. And you know what? I didn't talk about my free gift in the last one, so I want to talk about it here. If you want to know more about these cycles of change, the one that's 8 years and the Plutonic cycle that will at least last for 10 years. The whole Pluto cycle is 20, but there's a 10-year cycle inside this. And then the rise of living inside of our genius and what that even means. Check out my free gift. I know there were issues with the link, and I'm sorry about that. This has been like a pretty gnarly Mercury retrograde for me. Lots of little things broke. So I'm fixing them all. And if you check out the link below and follow the instructions, you will get this for free. I promise. It's about the cycles and opportunity. Okay, so let's go into all signs. That's what you've been waiting for. And I want to share with you my all sign as a kickoff to how do we look at the all signs. So if you want to draw a circle on a piece of paper, this is going to be the best way to do it. Or you can get yourself already a pre-drawn zodiac. The zodiac is divided right down the middle, both ways, in an horizontal and vertical axes. And then I like to make 2 little V's inside each one to create 12 slices of pie, 6 below, 6 above. And then you start with the lower left by putting a number 1 in it, and you go counterclockwise around the zodiac. And in house number 1, which is the house of you, which is the house of your earth school, what you signed up to learn. A lot of astrologists say that it's your mask, it's your personality, it's your simulation self. But I think it's also your earth school. What's the lesson of your earth school training? That is house 1. And that is your rising sign. That is your ascendant. That's where the sun was the moment you were born on the horizon. I love that. It's your embodiment. So put that in house 1. And a lot of you know I'm a Taurus rising. I share a lot about my birth chart here because I'm a 6-2, and I like to share stories of what I've been through to highlight how you're going to look at your own chart. So if you put your rising sign, say your rising sign is Taurus, like mine, then the second house becomes Gemini, and so on around the zodiac in order. If it's Aries in the first house, then it would be Taurus in the second house, etc. So go around and label it. And then we're going to put the moon, the full moon, in the house that Gemini occupies. So for me, that's the second house. For you, it will be different unless you're Taurus rising. And then I want you to put the sun in the house that Sagittarius occupies. And that could be, if you're a Taurus rising, it will be the 8th house. Then I want you to label the North Node. The North Node is in Pisces. So you can write NN in Pisces, whatever house that falls in. And then the South Node in Virgo, SN. And they're all at 13 degrees for this full moon. So we have a perfect mutable Grand Cross. And this is a threshold energy. I'm going to do a screen share, and we're going to talk about each of these signs. But before I do, I want to tell you a little bit about these 4 places we're going to look. Gemini. Remember, I talked about details, duality. It's a choice point. It's this or that. It is information, and lots of it. It's very buzzy. Lots of communication. Gemini is the sign of communication. This is going to be a manifesting outward energy. This is where we're going to make a choice in the 3D world. Sagittarius, across, that's what the moon is being powered by the sun in Sagittarius. He's co-joined with Venus and Mars in Sagittarius. We have truth, belief, expansion, meaning, worldviews, beliefs. This is a go inward point. This is where you go inward to suss out, who am I now? What do I believe now? If we had a blank slate to create the world, would you put that in it? Would you put that in it? Would you put that in it? This is your opportunity to live what you would put in it. Then in the Pisces house, the North Node, we have surrender. We have oneness, unity, consciousness. We have faith. We have Christ consciousness. We have the collective. We also have dissolution. Yeah, this is what we're moving toward. And Virgo, the South Node. This is the heaven and earth axes, and we're talking about the earth plane. This is where we have analysis, processes. We have perfection. control, details. There's something in this Virgo mansion that we are releasing because it is the South Node. It is karma. So this is the crossroads. This axis is the crossroads. There's old patterns. There's new patterns. There's an old story. There's a new story. There was who you were. There's who you're becoming. I mean, we can't make this shit up. So Gemini duality offers the choice. The mutable grand cross at the 13-degree point ensures the fated change. The destiny is the transformation itself. And the freedom is how you will consciously choose and move through it. You know, I love these transmissions because without it, we might be blind, or without it, we might not know. And we would just do autopilot. And we're not here for freaking autopilot anymore. All right. So in my story, and I'm going to share with you how this works because I want you to see how it works for yourself. I've got the full moon is in Gemini. That's my money house. That's the second house. The sun is in my 8th house. That's the house of the mystery, the house of transformation. That's the house of death and rebirth. That's the house of other people's money, investors. The North Node in Pisces, that's community, spiritual networks, friendships. And then the South Node, because it's in my 11th house. That's the North Node in Pisces in my 11th house. And then the South Node in my 5th house is entrepreneurial ventures. Now it can be kids, creativity, sexuality, but I'm sharing with the distinctions that are for me. So that's what you get to do. I'm going to give you a release statement, but you're going to have to tailor it to what's actually happening in your life. So some of you know, I walked through a major crucible this year. In 2025, I closed down the Evolving Sisters Network. And that was a huge decision. It closed down my community. I've also had what's called a social shedding. I've had some friends release out of my field, sometimes no conflict at all. They just could feel the drift away. That's Saturn in the 11th house, clearing the decks, clearing the community, clearing the structure of community, which was my network. And then you have the 5th house, Virgo placement there. It's like that entrepreneurial venture. No, swipe it away. And then you have the axes of money. What was the old money story? So the 2nd house, it's not just money, it's how you value yourself. What are your resources? The 8th house is the house of death and rebirth. It is other people's money. And so the transformation that I received, am receiving and am completing under this full moon is from the angle of the money story, because that's where the full moon is. So you see all those things that were happening, it's from the angle of whatever is in Gemini that's moving you toward what? The North Node in Pisces, something new. So that's what we're going to capture. This is spot on for me. And it hit some eclipses, and it was exact on my 2nd Saturn return. Every time I talk to groups and I mention 2nd Saturn return, I get like a series of oi, in the audience, because people know, if you've been through it, it is a reckoning. But the beautiful part about it is Saturn isn't just a destructive asshole. Saturn actually is the great teacher, the Lord of karma. And he says, you know what? I know you think it's for you, but it's not for you. And so I am going to take it. And that stellium in Pisces that I have matched the stellium and the eclipse in Pisces, and it just brought it all out to sea. So it's been a year of reckoning, a year of going into the liminal space. I think I've been in the liminal space the whole time. So those of us who are just entering it in this December period, some of us have been there all year. And it's a very auspicious time because 2026 will be very different. And that requires the beingness to be different. You can't have new things if you're not a different person who can receive those things. And as Pam Gregory said, and I mentioned her in that first video, that we truly can't even see it until we have an awareness of something. And astrology helps us actually expand our awareness. So I hope these serve you in your own transformation. So let's move into the Mutable Grand Cross release and opening statements for all signs. And let's start with Aries. All right, Aries risings. You are numero uno in the zodiac, house 1. So this is for our Aries rising sisters. So close your eyes, Aries. You can always come back to this point, but I want you to really hear this. I release the mental loops, the overthinking, the need to have all the answers before I leap. I release communication patterns that kept me small and the belief that my daily grind defines my worth. I complete the cycle of sacrificing my spiritual connection for productivity and perfection. Now listen for your opening statement. I open to receiving divine downloads and trusting my intuition as my primary guidance system. I embrace becoming a vessel for higher wisdom that I share boldly with the world. I welcome sacred rest, spiritual practice, and the mystical experiences that arrive when I surrender the hustle and honor my soul's whisper. And so it is, Aries rising. Moving on to Taurus rising. I release. Now I want you to close your eyes, Taurus risings. Close your eyes, come into your heart center. This is really important. Take a deep breath. I release old money stories and the belief that my worth is tied to how hard I work and how much I produce. Gone. I release income streams built on depletion and scarcity consciousness. I release the need to control every creative detail and the pattern of building everything alone. I complete the cycle of perfectionistic entrepreneurialism and the fear that asking for help or sharing resources means losing my power. Okay, here's what you're open to. Take a deep breath. Open your hands to be open to the cosmos. I open to receiving abundance through divine alignment and unexpected channels. I welcome new income streams that flow from my authentic gifts and my soul's purpose. I embrace being resourced by the universe in magical ways beyond my own effort. I open my heart to true soul community, to my next level soul community. Networks of people who support, celebrate, and co-create with me. I trust that transformation comes through sharing my power, not hoarding it, and that collective abundance is my new frequency. Aho, so it is. I'm so excited. Okay, Gemini rising. It's your moment to receive this activation. Close your eyes, come into your heart center, and listen to these words. I release the version of myself I created to please others or fit into partnerships that no longer serve my evolution. Done. I release the need to stay small in my home, hidden in my private world, endlessly perfecting before I step out. I complete the cycle of shape-shifting to accommodate everyone else's needs while losing myself. Now be open to receive. I open to claiming my authentic identity unapologetically and showing up fully as me in my multifaceted glory. I embrace partnerships built on mutual celebration of each other's truth. I welcome my destined public role and the spiritual leadership I am here to embody. I trust my legacy is being built through radical authenticity, not performance. Yes, Gemini rising. And now let's move to Cancer rising. Close your eyes, Cancer rising. Go deep into your heart space. I release the anxious thoughts, the mental chatter, the fear-based stories running in my subconscious mind. I release work that drains me and health patterns built on stress and worry. I complete the cycle of staying stuck in my familiar pattern and environment, talking about what I'll do someday instead of actually expanding into it. Cancer rising, here's what you're open to, just open to receive. I open to profound spiritual awakening and the liberation that comes from releasing what's been unconsciously running me. I embrace work that feels like sacred service and aligns with my soul's purpose. I welcome adventures, higher learning, and philosophies that stretch my heart and mind beyond the comfortable and the known. Yes, holy wow. Now, if you really mean it, the universe is going to give it to you, and it may show up as some kind of whack on the side of the head because you've asked to release these subconscious, unconscious programs. Okay, Leo rising, here we are. I release, close your eyes. I release friendships and networks that were transactional rather than transformational. I release the need to perform my creativity for validation or to prove my worth through my earning power alone. I complete the cycle of self-sufficiency that kept me from true intimacy and merged abundance. Now, Leo rising, be open and willing to receive. I open to soul tribe community that celebrates my authentic self and co-creates magic with me. I embrace creative expression that flows from pure joy rather than external approval. I welcome deep intimacy, transformational partnerships, and the abundance that comes through divine union and shared resources. I trust that vulnerability is my superpower. So it is. It makes me want to jump up and down. So jump up and down, Leo rising. Celebrate, joy. You got this. Virgo rising. Yeah, you Virgos have like been through the gauntlet. Virgo rising. Close your eyes. Come into the center of your being. I release the pressure to be perfect in my public role and the belief that I must have it all together before I'm worthy of recognition. Let that go, sister. I release the pattern of doing everything myself and holding my family and foundation to impossible standards. I complete the cycle of overanalyzing, self-criticism, and going it alone. Welcome to your Earth School, Virgo rising. Take a deep breath. Let it all go. Now I want you to open. Are you open and willing to receive? And here's our statement, Virgo rising. I open to a career path guided by intuition and divine timing rather than perfectionism. I embrace creating an emotional foundation built on compassion, not criticism. I welcome sacred partnership where I can truly be seen, supported, and loved for my authentic self, even the messy parts. I trust that collaboration and co-creation will take me farther than solo perfectionism ever could. Yes. And so it is. Now we have the other side of the zodiac. We've got the Libra rising. Libra risings, I release. Close your eyes. Go into the center of your being. I release the endless seeking of knowledge without embodiment. I release spiritual bypassing and the tendency to escape into ideals rather than live them. I release communication patterns that keep me surface level and the anxiety hiding in my subconscious. I complete the cycle of perfectionism that kept me isolated and afraid to show my imperfections. Now, Libra rising, find the openness and willingness in your heart to receive. I open to embodying the wisdom I've gathered and sharing it in practical, grounded ways. I embrace authentic local connections and communication that comes from my heart. I welcome daily rituals and sacred work that serve both my well-being and the collective. I trust that bringing my spirituality into everyday life creates the healing I've been seeking. And so it is. Scorpio rising. Close your eyes, Scorpio rising. Come into your center point and say inside your heart, follow along. I release the intensity of relationships that drained my power and the pattern of losing myself in others' needs or resources. I release earning money in ways that don't honor my true values and the critical voices from my community that dimmed my light. I complete the cycle of controlling outcomes and staying in my head about how things should be. Let it go. And now, in your heart of hearts, are you open and willing to receive? I open to transformative intimacy that amplifies my power rather than diminishes it. I embrace creating income aligned with my soul values and inherent worth. I welcome playful creativity, spontaneous joy, and romance that lights me up from the inside. I trust that expressing my authentic self wildly, creatively, unapologetically is my destiny and my devotion. And so it is. Sag rising. Close your eyes, Sag risings. Come into your heart center, into the center of your being, and align yourself with this release statement. I release partnerships where I had to shrink my bigness or dim my truth. I release the version of myself I performed for career success and the belief that my worth is measured by my public achievements. I complete the cycle of pushing, striving, and perfecting my external image while neglecting my inner world and my emotional needs. That's powerful. You're really ending a cycle of idealization and coming into truth. You are going to leap in your worldview, Sag rising, if you follow this. Now, close your eyes and receive. I open to being fully myself. Wild, free, radiant, truthful, honest, and attracting partnerships that celebrate all of me. I embrace slowing down to create a sanctuary of emotional safety and spiritual depth in my home. I welcome the healing of my roots and the courage to prioritize my inner peace over external validation. I trust that my true success comes from being rooted in love, not recognition. And so it is. Capricorn rising. Close your eyes. Come into your heart space. Take a deep breath. And be prepared to release. I release work that feels like endless obligation without meaning and health patterns built on stress and depletion. I release the spiritual bypassing, the isolation, and the belief that I must sacrifice myself to be of service. I complete the cycle of rigid beliefs and the pressure to be the wise one with all the answers. And then take a deep breath and open to receiving. Let the light pour in. I open to work that serves my soul and routines that honor my body as sacred. I embrace spiritual practices that actually restore me and the courage to rest deeply. I welcome authentic communication, curious learning, and connections in my local environment that feel light and alive. I trust that sharing my truth simply, locally, and from the heart is as powerful as any grand teaching. And so it is, Capricorn rising. Aquarius rising. Close down your eyes, come into the center of your being and prepare to release. I release creative projects that were intellectual exercises rather than heart expressions, and romance that stayed in my head instead of my body. I release friendships that were all about the mission, but lacked true intimacy and the pattern of merging my resources or worth with others. I complete the cycle of overanalyzing my value and the intensity that kept me from simple joy. And now allow yourself to come into a state of receiving. I open to creativity that flows from pure playfulness and self-expression that's unapologetically me. I embrace community that uplifts my vision and celebrates my humanity. I welcome building my own resources, valuing myself independently, and receiving income that reflects my inherent worth. I trust that I can be both visionary and grounded, innovative and abundant. And so it is. That's powerful. Jump up and down. And our last one, Pisces rising, the completion of the zodiac before, before the wheel sets itself again. Pisces, you are no stranger to release, no stranger to letting go, no stranger to transformation. So close your eyes and come into the center of your being and be prepared to let go once again. So this time, Pisces rising, you're going to say, I release the chaos in my home and family that has kept me ungrounded and the pattern of absorbing everyone else's emotions without boundaries. I release the career paths that I pursued to please others or to prove that I could make it in the material world. I complete the cycle of losing myself in partnerships, of overgiving, and analyzing my way to worthiness. It is done, it is done, it is done. And now prepare yourself to receive. I open to creating a sacred sanctuary in my home that reflects my spiritual essence and emotional truth. I embrace a public role where I lead from my mystical gifts and my intuitive wisdom. And I welcome fully inhabiting my own identity, claiming myself, my body, my presence as divine. I trust that I am the answer I've been seeking in others, and that my wholeness is my greatest offering. Yes, and so it is, and so it is, and so it is. Those are super powerful, my friends. And I just want to note what I said I think I said after the Cancer one, that I'm not sure, that when we make these release declarations and we open to something new, don't be surprised if shit falls apart. You know, I remember a public figure asking for, this is kind of funny, but he was asking God, and he said, you know, I started to pray because I'm not getting any traction in therapy. Nothing's working, nothing is changing. And so I'm starting to pray for breakthroughs to help me with old patterns. And he didn't disclose what those old patterns were. But shortly thereafter, this huge story breaks out from his ex-partner, and indeed 5 other ex-partners who were allegedly partners during the same time together. He was making a racket. He had different cell phones for each partner. And so I can imagine this person praying, God, help me change myself. I know what I'm doing is wrong. But I can't do it. I go to